Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Benji-Sales live chat. It's so good to be back. It is so good to see everyone. Hello. How are you doing? Sorry, I missed the stream last week. It was, as you all know, I'm in the US and I work retail, and last week was Black Friday slash Thanksgiving week. So work for me was completely insane. Okay, it was an insane week. We did crazy business. I know some retailers actually were saying that they were, from people I've spoken to that work in other retail, that it wasn't that crazy for them by Black Friday standards, but I can tell you from my work and my job, it was insane. We were so busy. So yeah, it was a crazy week, a stressful week. So that's why there was no stream last week, but we are back. It is so good to be back. I'll be honest, while I was gone, there wasn't that many big crazy news topics. Main reason for that is we are going into the holidays. Like I said, they already are kind of kicking off here in the US, and a lot of the more international holidays are going to be starting to come here in the coming weeks. So you do start to see the news slow down a little bit during this cycle. So, I guess of all the weeks to miss, it wasn't that big of a deal to miss last week's. But we still do have some topics we can talk about. So first of all, the Game Awards are right around the corner. We're officially a week out. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about some of our predictions, what we're expecting, maybe who's going to win, maybe what reveals you want to see, all of that goodness. And then we did actually get a pretty major story today about DICE, the developers of Battlefield. Big changes going on at DICE. We had some reports, I think, last week that there would be some major departures and shakeups, and that has started to bear fruit. So it looks like Vince Zampella, known for his past in Call of Duty, and then of course with Respawn and Titanfall and all the games that Respawn's making, he's now overseeing Battlefield as well. So Vince just continues to move up in EA and get more and more responsibilities and influence within the company. So he's now going to be basically in charge, kind of overseeing what happens next in Battlefield. So we can talk about that, the Battlefield 2042 launch itself, how that's been going. I'm sure there's still a lot of questions going on about Halo Infinite, about its progression and all of that, and campaign right around the corner. So we can talk about all of that and more. Make sure you start dropping those comments into chat. Pretty small viewership right now today, so this could be a short stream. I would not be surprised by it because, like I said, the amount of news hasn't been all that large. So this could be a quick in and out. But if you have any comments, if you have any questions, make sure you drop those down into chat so we have some topics to talk about today. All right, first of all, though, we do have a super chat coming from Plastic Hearts Podcast, dropping a 20. Plastic Hearts Podcast, you do not need to do that. Let me also say this. I almost forgot. I always do this spiel, but let me do it really quick here at the beginning. If you've never been part of this stream's pretty small right now, so I'm assuming everyone here is, pretty much a regular, but let me get it out of the way for anyone that might be new. This stream's 100% driven by you, okay? It's your comments, it's your questions. Basically, we sit down and we talk about the video game industry, the big news that's happened in the week, or in this case, the last 2 weeks. 2 ways to do that. Of course, there's the free question method. You just type a question, it drops down into chat, and I get to as many free questions as possible. Today, I'll probably be able to get to all of them, right? It's not looking like a huge chat, but if you do want to support me and the channel, there is the super chat option. As always, though, do not feel pressured, do not feel obligated to do that. Just a way to help support me and guarantees that I get to your question. All right, sorry. Had to kick that off there at the beginning. So let me get to this 20 super chat from Plastic Hearts Podcast. Holy cow. Really did not need to do that, Plastic Hearts. And thank you for always being so supportive in basically every stream. Benji Boy, just a round of applause for Keeley and his team building the Game Awards to what it is today. The ups and downs and eventually becoming arguably the biggest gaming event of the year is nuts. How has the viewer growth been? Yeah, it's been outstanding. So there's always a lot of debate around the Game Awards, right? Is the, how legitimate are the awards in terms of like prestige, right? Do we consider this kind of the Oscars of gaming, or, the Academy Awards of gaming, or is this more like the MTV Awards of gaming, right? Always a ton of debate about that, about like how influential and important these awards are. And also, the whole debate around the reveals. Are they overhyped? Does he bring good stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a big fan of the Game Awards, right? Big fan of Jeff Keighley as well. I'm a fan of anything that's going to celebrate gaming, get gaming with more eyeballs on it. And as you mentioned here, Plastic Hearts Podcast, the growth, right? If you want to just talk about getting eyes on gaming, Game Awards growth is absolutely unbelievable. In fact, I keep waiting every year. I'm like, when is this going to plateau? Because every year those metrics come out and the Game Awards viewership just keeps going up and up and up, right? Millions and millions of viewers on this thing. In fact, it's getting more views now in terms of just like raw streams and people watching it than the Oscars, right? I had a tweet that went pretty viral about this last year. It was during the Oscars, when the Oscars happened. And it was one of my biggest tweets ever. I think it ended up like over 15,000 likes or something like that. Like it was pretty darn big. And it was kind of comparing the viewership, and the Oscars has gone way down while the Game Awards has skyrocketed and actually passed it in viewership. Now, there's, of course, a lot of things to keep in mind in that comparison, right? Oscars is still tied basically just to TV networks, and we know that people just don't watch TV as much as they used to, while the Game Awards, streams all over the place, right? It's on YouTube, it's on Twitch, it's on like partnered streams on there, so you don't even have to just watch the mainstream. Tons of people co-stream it, so it's just like really easy to access. So, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Maybe if the Oscars were streaming on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere like that, right, maybe their viewership would be way bigger than what it is. So it's not a complete perfect comparison, but it just shows how huge the Game Awards have become, right? They're giant. We're talking, as you said, it's arguably the biggest gaming event of the year now alongside E3. And E3 is actually, as we know, it's kind of decreased over time. So Game Awards is definitely up there, right? If it's not number one, it is absolutely in your top 2 or 3 in terms of like shows for the year, right? Not conventions or anything like that, like Gamescom where you have huge attendance, or E3 when it's open to the public, you have huge attendance, but just in raw viewership, giant. And I think that's why you're starting to see so many companies, want to do big reveals at the Game Awards, right? You're starting to see that increase, right, with time. People always talk about how whether those reveals are overhyped or not, but keep in mind, there have been some huge reveals at the Game Awards, right? We've seen things like Bayonetta was first announced there, which, that went on ice for a long time, but that was a pretty big announcement. We had Mass Effect announced there, right? The new one, all kinds of stuff. I could go down the list, but they announced tons of stuff at the Game Awards. So I think this year's is going to be even bigger, right? That's where we first saw Microsoft announce the Xbox Series X, their new generation platform, and Hellblade 2. Like, that's pretty giant when one of the platform holders announces their console and first shows it at your show. That's a pretty darn strong indicator of how big viewership is. So I think this year is actually going to be really impressive in terms of reveals. Keighley's been kind of teasing that there's a lot of next-gen focus, right? True next-gen games. I'm expecting it to be pretty awesome. Now, is this going to be wall-to-wall, front-to-back, every single game? AAA, 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 nonstop, the biggest, craziest things you can ever imagine? I'm sure not, right? I'm sure some people are going to hold back stuff for their own shows. And Jeff does like to mix in smaller teams and smaller games as well, so that they have viewership. But I think this might be the biggest year ever for reveals at the Game Awards. I really do think so. So I agree with you. Round of applause for Jeff. And I can't wait to see the show. We had another super chat here from SplitEnd89. Holy cow, a 20. Dude, SplitEnd, I think that's your biggest ever, dude. You do not have to do that. Dude, SplitEnd, been here, OG from the beginning. What a great friend. Mods the channel for me. SplitEnd, dude, you're amazing with a 20. Just saying Merry Christmas, man. Get yourself something nice. Well, thank you, SplitEnd. Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. Thank you so much for that. And thank you always for being so supportive of me and helping with the channel all this time. Dude, you're amazing. Seriously, I consider you a true friend, my man. One day we have to meet in person. Me and SplitEnd has still not met in person. And you've been, what, modding my channel and talking to me now for years? I have a feeling if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would have already met by now. But yes, we have to meet soon, Split End. We got to meet soon, my buddy. Thank you so much. All right. Danger Man 1337, Benji-Sales, considering the reception of Battlefield 2042's launch and concrete sales data from UK and Japan for Battlefield 2042 looking not so good, am I the only one that sees desperation? Seems that this is going hard on after Call of Duty after Modern Warfare 2019, but Modern Warfare 2019 was fundamentally from an engine and reception a strong experience. Battlefield 2042 as well, yeah, not really pleasing a lot. And all the changes at management really feels like desperate to salvage something. So, great questions. So here's the thing. Let's talk about Battlefield. I have no idea, right? I haven't talked to EA or anything about this. You know, sometimes I do talk to these companies about this kind of stuff. Sometimes, a lot of times I don't, right? Sometimes I have insider info on how they think sales are going. Sometimes I don't. I don't know how things are going at EA, specifically around Battlefield. I have some reasons to believe that, yes, they are pretty stressed about what's happening with the reception to Battlefield 2042. Here's the thing. Would all of these giant changes be happening this quickly just strictly because of 2042's launch? I'm thinking probably not. I have a feeling that EA may have internally already, before the game was even out, may have been starting to have in mind, listen, we need to do some things to shake things up. Maybe once they saw the game far into development, right? And it maybe wasn't coming together quite as well as they were hoping. You know, maybe they started getting some early indications that, yeah, we need to do something about this, right? So it does feel a little, I don't want to necessarily go as far as to say desperation, but to say that they definitely are hitting, I think, in a bit of an alarm switch. Keep in mind, what's happening with DICE right now isn't small changes. We're talking giant shifts in how Battlefield is going to be run moving forward, right? We're having multiple key figures, as Danger Man mentions, in management leaving. Again, coinciding right after the launch of the game. You have someone like Vince Zampella stepping in now and having even more authority over, you know, a franchise and a studio that's not even the one that he founded, you know, or ran at EA and Respawn, right? He's now overseeing multiple things. Here's the thing. My personal opinion on Battlefield, I just don't think the game's very good. And I hate to say that. You guys know how positive I am. You guys know how much I like to, you know, be positive and celebrate things. This game had immense hype. Keep in mind, this game's hype when that first reveal trailer happened was immense, myself included. A lot of people did not enjoy Battlefield 5. A lot of people felt like the franchise was kind of floundering. A lot of people wanted a modern day setting for Battlefield again because we'd had Battlefield 1, we'd had Battlefield 5, 2 in a row, right, that were that more retro setting. And a lot of people really loved, despite their issues, you know, games like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 that had that more modern setting. So this seemed like, wow, Battlefield's back. When they showed this trailer, it did crazy views. The engagement on social media was through the roof. Hype was immense. And then the game came out, and its launch players were pretty darn good, right? It was over 100,000 concurrent on Steam. Keep in mind, this does not include Origin. That puts it into the top, like, 8 biggest games of the year in terms of peak players on Steam. However, that has fallen off hard, which isn't super unbelievable, right? If you notice, I don't cover a lot of, you see these stories kind of pop up from time to time on major websites and game reporting. You'll see it a lot where people will be like, wow, this particular game lost this percentage of players in this time frame. You usually don't see me cover much of that because that's true of almost every game. It is extraordinarily rare. We're talking it is a true outlier when a game weeks after launch still has as many players as when the game itself launched. That is exceptionally rare. Now, you know, to be clear, there's also danger signs, though, if a game completely bottoms out, right? So you can't always expect, hey, this giant new game came out 3 weeks after launch. Why isn't it still doing peak players? Are there games that do that? The true juggernauts and outliers in the industry, games like Fortnite and League of Legends and Call of Duty that keep just going and going and going? Yeah, for sure. But those are the exception. Those are not the rule. So you should never assume that every game that comes out, wow, it's going to keep 100% of its players. It's just literally not going to happen. But Battlefield does seem to be falling off hard, right? It's not even maintaining a high player count on Steam. We're talking it's now peaking at about 30,000 players a day. Keep in mind something like Halo Infinite, which has also come down, right? Which again, like I said, that's to be expected with time. It's still peaking though, basically every day over 100,000 players. So it's still hitting nice numbers. Is it as high as its original peak where it's up way over 200K? No, but it's still maintaining a high player base, 100,000 plus. It's a free-to-play game, so not an apples-to-apples comparison, but Battlefield for a multiplayer game, when you're peaking at like 30K or so, this quickly after launch, it's hard for me to personally believe that this is meeting EA's expectations. So I'm going to be very interested to see how Battlefield evolves in the future. Honestly, I think they went too grand with this game. I think 128 players doesn't feel good. I think the maps feel way too sprawled out and empty. That's always been a thing with Battlefield, right? Is that it's big open spaces, you're running around, vehicles everywhere. I think 128, it was ambitious, but I don't know that it actually worked. And maybe you should bring that down a little bit for the next Battlefield. I don't know, just some things, but clearly big shifts with Battlefield. Big shifts. And what's crazy is this feels like the year that Battlefield could have outsold Call of Duty if it was good. Like if it was really good, right? I know some people are enjoying Battlefield. So to be clear, I'm not saying you're wrong for loving the game. Everyone has different tastes, right? But if this was like a 10 out of 10, if people loved Battlefield, Call of Duty Vanguard sales are so far down that this felt like the year. Wow, Battlefield could have finally done it. It could have finally dethroned Call of Duty as the top selling shooter of the year, but I just don't think it was good enough now, and it's kind of wild. It could have. I really think it could have when you see how much Call of Duty decreased. Like, huge drop for Call of Duty. All right, Michael Yu, did you see that Michael Pachter said that since Series consoles came out, less than 1 mil physical Xbox games have sold? The vast majority of Xbox users are buying digitally. Yes, we've talked about this many times now on the channel, Michael Yu. Xbox software is extremely digital heavy. Extremely. And one thing I can add on to this, and you kind of are starting to get some info, from other places reporting on this as well. And I'm not going to go into super NDA stuff here. But, I have tons of connections in retail all over the country, basically. And, it's all Xbox Series S right now. Like, there are, like, no X's coming, all right? Xbox Series X consoles, and you're getting this data, from other markets as well. Microsoft is all in on Series S over X this holiday. I expect that to shift quite a bit next year. But here's the thing. This is a total guess. Haven't talked to Microsoft about this, but I think they probably did a calculation. Microsoft looked at this holiday, and it's the first holiday after launch, right? Not the very first holiday because that was launch holiday, but it's the first holiday after launch. Right now, PlayStation and Xbox, their number one focus is to increase install base as rapidly as possible on these new platforms. So my guess, Microsoft looked at manufacturing, they looked at the data, and they said, how can we get the most consoles into people's hands as possible this holiday? And they probably looked and they said, we can make this many Series X, or we can make this many Series S, which was substantially more if they focused more on Series S. And I have a feeling that's why production right now is so vastly, listen y'all, I am not exaggerating here, it is vastly lopsided to Series S. We're talking gigantically lopsided towards Series S consoles. And how does that tie into what Michael Yu's talking about here? Keep in mind, Series S is digital only. You will sell 0 physical games on Series S. It is 100% digital. So yeah, Microsoft and Xbox are going to shift very heavy digital. Now, will that possibly rebound a little bit back once we go into next year and more Series X consoles become available, which of course have a disk drive? Totally possible. But yeah, Michael Yu, I would expect, honestly, in the coming months, Xbox digital ratios, especially on those first-party games, I mean, we could be looking at well over 80% on some of these games. That is not crazy. I'm telling you, it's not crazy to think at all. When you look at the install base and when you look at Microsoft traditionally being stronger in digital, yeah, it's straight digital right now for Xbox. So that's why I always caution around physical-only charts, right? You don't see me cover them too much anymore. I'll mention them whenever there's like a real highlight, something kind of crazy that we're seeing in physical. Like if a game's vastly outperforming on physical, that means it's going to be insane when you factor in digital as well, because, you know, if it's already doing amazing physical, digital's only going to boost that. But for the most part, vast majority of the time, you don't see me tweet out too much about physical only charts anymore for that specific reason. Digital has become so heavy that physical only charts really just don't tell us much. They don't tell us much at all. All right, Forzathon is back. Hi, Benji. Do you think we see a big first party, not including XDev and Xbox Global Publishing, game reveal from either Xbox or PlayStation at the Game Awards? Forzathon, here's what I think. I definitely think both PlayStation and Xbox will show something big. Now, will that be a brand new game we've never heard of? I'll be honest, Here's what I'll say. Xbox, maybe. Xbox might show you something you've never seen before, because we know they're willing to do that and go big at the Game Awards traditionally, right? We just saw it with the Series X reveal and Hellblade 2, which again was an unannounced game and no one had ever seen a Series X until that moment. So we have data that shows us Microsoft's willing, outside of their own shows, to show you something crazy and big at the Game Awards. So Microsoft might show you something you've never seen. I do at the very least expect Xbox to show something big that we have seen. In fact, I'll just be honest, I expect Hellblade 2 to be here. I don't have that confirmed. This is not inside info. I think it's very, very likely we see Hellblade 2 here. So that will be huge. We have never seen gameplay of this game. All we've seen is a very brief trailer. So, but I do expect Hellblade there. Maybe something new from Xbox. PlayStation, I think, shows us something big as well. I think viewership's just big enough now they can justify it. But if that'll be something we've like never heard of, that I'm less likely to believe. I hope it happens, but I kind of feel like PlayStation really values their own shows, their own states of play, their own showcases. And they may save the, oh, I've never heard of this stuff for their own shows. If they don't show anything brand new, I do still think you get something big from PlayStation. Maybe that's a new Horizon Forbidden West trailer. Maybe that's the release date and some more info on God of War Ragnarok, right? Maybe it's something like this. At the very least, I'll be shocked if PlayStation's kind of a no-show here. Viewership's too big, and I feel like it's too important now to kind of show something big at the Game Awards. Cameron Swear, what do you make of the Switch having its best week in the UK? This surprised me, Cameron. A lot of debate out there about whether it can reach DS and PS2. Things still hasn't had a price drop. I've never seen this. I was caught off guard about this, Cameron. Just to be clear, I do not expect that to be the case in the United States. And we already know now that that wasn't the case in Japan. So that caught me off guard, that UK was so wild. Y'all, this wasn't just the biggest Black Friday ever for the Switch. According to Christopher Dring, this was literally the biggest week of sales ever for the Switch in the UK. Again, that surprises me just because the Switch's two strongest markets, Japan, we already know that's not true. It was down year over year Black Friday week. Still huge, right? I'm not trying to say it did bad on Black Friday week. Huge, just it was down. And the US, we don't have the data yet, but I'm inclined to believe that Switch was also down year over year in the US. So to see UK so outperform, that to me did surprise me. I was totally caught off guard by that. I expected huge Switch numbers, but best ever? Definitely not. Can it reach DS and PS2? Oh, it's hard to say. You know, I get asked this a lot about what I'm expecting lifetime from the Switch. You know, way over 100 million. No debate about that. Way, way over. I definitely think it hits into that like 120 plus million range, potentially even higher, you know, 130 plus. Here's what I always say. I'm going to pull back from matching PS2 until I see a platform do it, right? Just because DS and PS2, these are like our highest bars ever. So until a platform truly does it, or it's close enough that it's like inevitable, right? Like until, you know, it's a few million away and it's like, listen, it's going to happen. I try to stay back from that because it's so wild. but it's going to get up there. It will get, not super far from that range, I'd say. It's going to get up there. Switch still has a ton of life left in it. And like you said, it hasn't even had an official price drop. So, yeah, we're looking way, way, way over 100 million, like vastly over 100 million. Can it hit PS2 and DS? I don't know, but it's not going to be super far from them either, in my opinion. If it doesn't, right? Let's say it doesn't match PS2. It ain't going to be a giant gap. It's not like it's going to be like, oh, it missed it by like 40 million units. It's not going to be anything like that. Ashes to Ashes. Whoa, Benji in real time. I like this. Nice, Ashes to Ashes. If this is your first time being live, hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're having fun at the show. Again, like I said, not the craziest news week, but we've already had some great questions. So I hope you're having fun. I hope y'all are having fun. Yeah, hope you're having a good time. Oh, we had a super chat. We did have a super chat. Timmer72299 here with a 2 saying, keep up the awesome content, Benji. Thank you so much, Timmer. You keep being awesome on Twitter as well. Always digging up fascinating and interesting stuff. Thank you for always being so supportive. You're the man, Timmer. Thank you so much, man. I literally don't know if Timmer has ever missed a stream. I honestly don't know. That's incredible. And then Ashes to Ashes says, as someone that managed retail for 8 years, totally get it, man. It gets nuts. Yeah, it was crazy for me. This last week was crazy. Last week, it was nuts. Like I said, some retail I talked to, they were like, we were busy, but it wasn't that big of a deal. For me, it was chaos. Split End 89. Over or under on BioShock reveal at the Game Awards? I'm going to go over. Bold prediction, but I think it's finally time to see BioShock. We know this game's been in development for many years now, right? It's not like, hey, BioShock just started development last year. We know from reporting from Jason Schreier and others that BioShock, the new BioShock, has been in development for years now. I think that game can't be too far away. My prediction is that BioShock's coming out late 2022. Could be wrong. It could have slipped till 2023. As we know, COVID impacted everything. So tons of games shifted. Maybe this is a 2023 game now, but I have a feeling it's going to be like Q3 or Q4 2022. I'm going to be bold and I'm going to say over. I think BioShock's there. I think it's time. I think it's finally time to see BioShock. I don't know if we're going to get a giant gameplay blowout. If I predicted, I'd actually say it's more just a concept trailer. Kind of like what the original BioShock Infinite trailer was. It was kind of just like CG. Showed you the concept of the world. Showed you the characters, for the first time. I could see something like that. Just a short, brief, 1 to 2 minute little CG thing, telling you the name, showing you the concept of what even is the next BioShock. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say it's there. I hope it is. Split End and Anthony Johnson are pointing out the mini fridge. Yes, the mini fridge is here. The Xbox Series X mini fridge. I have snagged one. You know what's crazy? I don't even have it hooked up. It's not even hooked up right now. But I do got one. I need to hook it up. I just, like I said, I've been so busy. I have not even hooked the thing up yet. But it's there. Elias Stapleton, what reveals of PlayStation do you think will be revealed at the Game Awards? PlayStation is very quiet, like the movie. God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Gran Turismo 7, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine. That's all revealed from PS Studios when the quietness will be broken and reveals for 2022 and 2023 will happen. Sony has more than 16 studios and only those games are revealed. Yeah, I've mentioned this before, Elias. I kind of feel bad that I haven't been talking a ton about PlayStation lately, but that literally just comes down to, if you follow my feed's primarily focused on the newest news. There just hasn't been much PlayStation news. I literally love PlayStation. You've had some PlayStation fans, and again, it's kind of the more toxic ones. There's a lot of amazing PlayStation fans. Some of the more toxic ones have been angry at me for all of my Xbox coverage lately, but here's the reality. Lately, Xbox has way more news than PlayStation. They just dropped Forza Horizon 5. They just dropped Halo Infinite multiplayer. They got Halo Infinite campaign about to launch. we're just in a quiet time for PlayStation news, right? There's not a whole lot of PlayStation stuff to be tweeting about. So I do expect that to change. Here's the thing. I think we have some evidence that, COVID definitely impacted the PlayStation Studios pretty hard. We're in what will be one of the longest gaps we've had for PlayStation from first party in a very long time, right? The last PlayStation Studios game, they had Kena, which was an exclusive, but a game literally from PlayStation Studios, that was all the way back with Ratchet and Clank. And we don't have a new PlayStation first party game coming out until Horizon Forbidden West in February. So you're talking a huge gap. So that's kind of part of why there hasn't been a ton of PlayStation coverage is, I tweet about what I can. What's interesting, there just hasn't been much. That's going to change next year. Like next year, they've got Horizon hitting. They've got God of War hitting. They got Gran Turismo hitting. I won't be surprised if there's another big giant game or two hitting. Like PlayStation's going to ramp up hard next year. I do think they're going to be here in a big way, Elias. But like I said, I'm a little cautious that we're going to get something that we've never heard of here from PlayStation. I would love to see a brand new PlayStation Studios game I've never even heard of here. My guess, though, is if it is, it's something we've already heard about, like Horizon Forbidden West or God of War Ragnarok. Or I'd say there might be a chance we see The Last of Us Remake, because that's something that you could announce. It has a ton of awards, prestige. It's a new game, but it's not something that, we've never heard about, like a brand new IP, and it's not a huge giant sequel. Maybe that. We don't know how far along that is, but maybe we see that Last of Us remake. But I do expect something big. They'll at least have a big trailer here. Otherwise, it would be a big mistake. They at least need one big trailer, because I do think Xbox is going to come big. I really do. I think that at the very least, we get a big Hellblade 2 trailer and possibly something else from Xbox as well. Hammersley Ford. Hey Benji, how is Halo multiplayer doing right now? On Steam, it's still solid, but I expected more because it's free to play. How's it doing on Xbox? Also, Metacritic predictions for Infinite. So Hamish, it's doing good. Like I mentioned, it's not the craziest numbers I've ever seen. Here's what I would say is the main problem for Halo, right? There's been a ton of good news and bad news about progression with Halo, but let's just talk about strictly in terms of players. Here's the bad news for Halo. It does not seem even going free to play has made this franchise had major impact in Europe and Asia. Like, this game's still peaking pretty darn well in the US. Like, it's still, like I mentioned earlier, going over 100,000 players basically every day. Like, in prime US time, we're just talking US, which is where Halo has always been a juggernaut. It's still basically in the top 3 games played on Steam essentially every night in the US, right? It's in that top 3, top 4. Problem is, this game just has not made major impact in Asia and Europe. It's again, the player base, it has not made huge inroads there. So Microsoft still has a lot of work to do to get their brands more awareness in these other markets. There's just no doubt. We have data that kind of reflects this. So that's the main, if we were going to talk about a negative for Halo players, that to me would be the main negative. We're starting to run into a problem, and there was just an article about this with GameIndustry.biz, and they were asking people why they didn't buy Call of Duty Vanguard. And one of the, I think they said one of the most common answers they got was because they're already busy playing games they already have. This could potentially become a bit of a threat, I think, in this industry. And I don't mean that in terms of like end of the world, but when you have games like League of Legends, like Fortnite, like Call of Duty Warzone, that just keep going and going and going, it's so hard to pull people off of those games. They're already so invested in those games, and they already have a whole system that they play with their friends on these games. Like, these giant juggernaut, especially free-to-play multiplayer games, it might become really hard to launch a big, successful multiplayer game. I mean, honestly, it honestly might start to become a problem. How do we pull players away from this long term, right? Like, short term, you can get that big, giant boost at launch, but how do we get, like, hey, take away from Fortnite and take away from Warzone and take away from Apex Legends for long periods of time? this could become a serious problem. And it's not a problem for those companies that have those games. It's if you're another company, how do we get to that level? I think Halo is right now. Here's my thing. As long as Halo can consistently hit over 100,000 concurrent players, I think they're in a solid spot, right? As long as it can keep going over 100K, they can keep getting people getting battle passes, they can keep getting people buying DLC. Like, it's a healthy player number. Is it the most incredible thing I've ever seen? No, but that would actually be in line, let's say, with something like Destiny. Destiny's also often in that like right around 100K, a little bit below, a little bit above on its daily peak. And we all know Destiny 2 is massively successful, right? They'll have huge peaks around new content launches, but then they dip down around that 100,000 range, give or take a little bit, right? Sometimes they're under that. Sometimes they're peaking in like 70s or 80s. If Halo can get to that spot, just settle right around there, I think that's good. If we start to see it, we only have Steam. Xbox is hard to know. But if we start to see it go down to where it's like doing like 30,000 players peak, I would be slightly concerned about that. Yeah, a little bit. Because I do feel like it should do better than that. Listen, there's some very obvious glaring holes in Halo that I don't understand how it has launched in this state. How is there not better playlists? Like, this is a basic thing that has been in Halo from the beginning. You literally can't just play Slayer. It's the craziest choice I've ever seen in my entire life. I have literally never seen something so crazy. And I love this game. And I have a lot of people from 343 that follow me now on Twitter, kind of from talking about Halo. So I'm not saying this to be mean or rude. Here's the thing. It's technically beta right now. If this game doesn't have a Slayer playlist on December 8th, I'm sorry, but I don't understand the strategy. I do not understand the strategy. This game, what it should have at minimum, not even talking about things like SWAT or Griff Ball or anything like that. On December 8th, this game should have Arena Slayer, Arena Objective, Big Team Battle Slayer, Big Team Battle Objective. If that's not in place, I honestly would like to have a conversation with someone about 343 about the strategy, because I can tell you that's bleeding your players. Like, I'm telling you that. That is bleeding your players, not having a dedicated Slayer playlist. So it needs to happen. It has to happen. How do you have a competitive shooter and you just can't play straight up deathmatch, right? The oldest of all FPS shooters. So it'll happen. It's going to come. My only guess is that it's like this because it is a beta, and December 8th, you're going to get those Slayer playlists. They wanted people playing all the different game types for feedback, I think. That is my guess. Because you could ignore objective types if you're just a Slayer player, and then they wouldn't have gotten as much feedback. So that's my guess. But December 8th, this game better have Slayer playlists, or it's crazy. In terms of Metacritic predictions, I had said before the multiplayer came out and before campaign impressions, I expected this to be the worst reviewed Halo ever. And I didn't expect that because I thought that the fan base would think this was the worst Halo ever. I only literally said that because every mainline Halo that has ever been released has always reviewed worse than the one before it. Literally every single numbered entry and reach. So we're not going to count some side spin-off games like ODST and the Halo Wars games. But if you look at Halo 1, higher reviews than Halo 2. Halo 2, higher reviews than Halo 3. Halo 3, higher reviews than Halo Reach. Halo Reach, higher than 4. 4, higher than 5. Like, quite literally, it goes from 1 to 5, every single game drops on Metacritic. So what that says to me is that partially media has become more harsh on Halo over the years, because I love Halo's Combat Evolved. It is by no means the best Halo game ever made. It's not even close, actually, in my opinion. Love Halo CE, but like, it ain't the best Halo. And so I kind of thought that would continue. So I expected this game to hit low 80s. I thought it might do like 81, maybe 82. But those impressions were so positive for campaign, and despite the issues, people generally still love the multiplayer component. So I am actually going to raise that. I think it does mid 80s. I'm still not going to be bold and say high 80s or 90 plus, because it's hard for me to believe that media will be that positive on it. It's such a long-running franchise. I just feel like some media members, and this doesn't mean that they're bad people, I just think some people in media will be harder on this game because of the pedigree of Halo. So I'm thinking mid 80s. I'm thinking that 85 right around there, right? Drop it a point or raise it a point. 84, 86, right in there is what I'm thinking. If it could get to high 80s or 90 plus, it would be incredible. I just don't see it. I'm thinking 84 to 86. I think we got multiple super chats. Let me see. Or at least one. No, yeah, we have several super chats. Holy cow. Thank you so much, everybody. Chat definitely picked up. When we first started, there was like 8 people, so I thought this might have been like the shortest chat ever. I thought we might have been here for like 10 minutes and out. So thanks. I'm glad to see it's picked up. Hi, Benji. Have you played 13 Sentinels or Xeno yet? No, Joseki, I know I have to. I got my OLED. I'm playing. Here's the problem that happened. All year, I was like playing some new stuff, but I was like, you know, we know how this year was. It wasn't the most stacked year for new releases. So I was like, you know, I'm kind of taking my time. Problem for me is that everything hit at once that I liked. Like, I was playing Guardians of the Galaxy and I absolutely loved it. I got like halfway through Guardians of the Galaxy. Then Forza Horizon 5 dropped. So I got completely pulled off Guardians and was playing Forza Horizon 5. Then after Forza Horizon 5, Halo multiplayer unexpectedly dropped. So pulled me straight to that. Played the heck out of that. Now I'm just now getting back to Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been playing that the last few days to wrap it up because I love that game. Then on my Switch, I've been playing Pokemon Shining Diamond, which, by the way, I really like. I think Shining Diamond is better. This might sound like blasphemy. I'm liking, it's Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. I'm liking Brilliant Diamond more than Sword and Shield. Don't go crazy on me, y'all. I like it more. I like it more than Sword and Shield. I've never played Diamond and Pearl. I'm really enjoying that. So right now, that's getting all my focus, Joseki, for Switch is Brilliant Diamond. Right after that, Joseki, I'm going straight into Shin Megami Tensei 5. It just got delivered. I finally got my Shin Megami Tensei 5, so that's next on Switch for me. Then after that, Joseki, well, by then, we're probably with Pokemon Arceus or Arceus or however you say it. So I need to get to Xenoblade. I know. 13 Sentinels, I will play at some point, but I have no idea when. I have no idea when I'm going to play 13 Sentinels. But I've heard it's great. But Xenoblade very soon. Hopefully. But who knows? Everything hit at once, and it's crazy. And then next year's insane. So it's nuts. There's just not enough time. Highlander001 with a 5 super chat. What is up, Highlander? So good to see you. My wife got me 2 axes. Yo! One signed by Randy Rhodes and Ace Frehley. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. Hope you and your family have a great Christmas. Yo, Highlander. Shout out. My acoustic just almost fell. Shout out to us guitar bros, yo. Hopefully I don't drop my guitars. That one right there is a Schecter. Right now I just have one Schecter and one acoustic. That's a lie. I have a Schecter, I have a Les Paul, and I have an acoustic. I've had more guitars in the past. Right now I'm down to just 2. And I've been a little out of the loop with guitar playing. I'm going to be honest with you. I need to get back to it. But I've been playing guitar since I was like a child, like literally a kid. So shout out to my fellow guitar players out there. And Highlander, that's awesome, dude. 2 axes and signed by the legendary Randy Rhodes, by the way. Amazing, Highlander, amazing. Hope you're doing well, man. Timmer72299 with a 5 super chat here. Second one. I'm surprised how much information I've found through newspapers. I've noticed that, Timmer. How are you even digging that up, by the way? Regarding game budgets, plus sales figures, plus other juicy stuff, LOL. Timmer, this is something I've noticed from you as well lately with what you've been tweeting. That is crazy, and I don't know how you're doing that. How are you digging up all these old newspapers and even thinking like when to look and which newspaper to look? I'm impressed, Timber. This is some serious sleuthing you're doing. You've always been impressive, as we all know. I think everyone in here knows at finding stuff on LinkedIn. Like, you're awesome at that. But I've noticed the newspaper stuff. Bro, I'm impressed. I am seriously impressed. That is some major sleuthing. Yeah, you've dug up some very interesting stuff. Benji here with a 10. Benji, great to see you. What is your impression of holiday sales so far? Switch strongest Black Friday in the UK. Series S huge success in US. PS5 stronger shortage than expected. Cyberpunk sales. Okay, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about early holiday metrics. So, and Benji, thank you for the 10. That's really generous. So, here's the thing. I kind of said this a while back. I fully expected Switch to take this holiday. I still expect that, right? Expect Switch to be the #1 selling platform this holiday. We had talked about how in October, PlayStation had, was that October? No, or was that September? My brain's fogging. No, it was September because October was OLED launch. We had talked about how in September, PlayStation 5 had finally ended that streak for Switch as the best-selling console in the US. But I had noted even then, I said, I don't expect that to continue through the holiday, right? Shortages are just going to be too severe, and Nintendo is always a juggernaut during November and December. Like literally, like Nintendo, they're just amazing during that time frame, particularly December. They're amazing all year long, but when Nintendo has a good performing console, the DS, the Wii, or in this case, the Switch. Obviously, it's a little different when you're rocking the Wii U or the GameCube, but when they have a successful platform, they do gigantic, and they all do, but Nintendo particularly does gigantic numbers during the holidays. Makes sense, right? Because it's such a universally appealing device in terms of age ranges, like even down to very, very young kids, whereas Xbox and PlayStation, they have some games for kids, but it more targets, I would say, you're like, low teenager, like you're 10, 12, 14 and up, right? All the way up through adults. Switch is more universal. It goes all the way to, hardcore adults, like, as old as you can get. And it also goes super young, right? Like you can be like 5 and playing a Switch, like honestly. So it's just a great gift. So it's not surprising that they do so giant during the holidays. So the combination of extreme shortages for Xbox and PlayStation, plus Nintendo just being such a juggernaut during the holidays, fully expected them to still be #1. They're definitely going to, I think, still be #1 in November and December, including in the US. I think there's actually a good chance, and we need to see, I do not know this. So to be clear, this is not me saying this happened. I think there's a good chance in November, Xbox outsold PlayStation 5 in the US in November. We'll have to see that data. To be clear, I'm not saying this is a fact. I think November ranking might go Switch, Xbox Series, and PlayStation. However, what's going to make this more interesting that we might not get this data for, PlayStation 5 still might have had higher revenue so we may never truly publicly know. There will be people that know. I'll just leave it at that. If this happens in units, it won't be publicly known if PlayStation has higher revenue. And why do I say that? Why do I say maybe in the US Xbox outsold PlayStation but have higher revenue? As I mentioned earlier, Xbox is so Series S heavy right now. And Series S is only $299. Both SKUs of PlayStation 5 are more expensive. The digital's $400 and the disc is $500. So even if Xbox outsells PlayStation 5 in units, I don't expect it to be something crazy like 2-1. And PlayStation consoles cost more than Series S does. So it still might actually have more revenue than Xbox. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch with NPD. In terms of global, PS5 clearly is doing much better in Europe than Xbox. Not surprising. Europe is PlayStation dominant. That I do not expect to change. I've always said from the beginning, I think Xbox this generation will improve in Europe, but it's still going to be PlayStation City, right? So PlayStation is doing incredible across Europe. In some markets, it's actually even outselling Switch for the year. Christopher Drain gave us that information. But by and large, total volume across all markets, Japan we know is Switch City, right? Switch is just owning Japan. So yeah, if we're going to rank global sales this holiday, I'm pretty like 99% confident we're going to be looking at Switch as the best-selling platform globally, for the holiday period, then PlayStation 5, then Xbox Series. US, like I said, that could get a little interesting. You could flip-flop PlayStation and Xbox in units in US, but that's not a lock. It's possible, though. And then in terms of software, the big winner to me right now seems Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. That seems to be overperforming. And Battlefield and Call of Duty both seem to be underperforming. So software is not as impressive, I would say, as hardware. But if I had to pick like a big winner of the holidays for software, I think it's Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. All right, super chats are cleared. Thank you so much for those super chats. Thank you so much. Still tons of questions to get to. Tons and tons. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, where are we at? Where are we at? Holy cow, there's so many free questions I got to get to. All right, don't worry. I'm going to hit a lot. I'm going to hit a lot still. I'm going to hit a lot. Vince the Magician, what's your thought on the state of video game media coverage? Ooh, this is interesting. I've never been asked that. I run a gaming and esports newsletter, but do you think there's too much clutter in the breaking news space? Vince, this is a fascinating question. Fascinating. So Vince, when I talk about media, it's a little hard for me to give like too much of, what's the word? Like, what's the phrasing I'm looking for here? I can't give too authoritative of a take because I do not consider myself games media. You know, I have a pretty decent following now, like shockingly. I think I'm up to over 32,000 followers on Twitter. So, I mean, do I definitely have a presence of covering gaming news? I would say so, but I don't consider myself true gaming media because, first of all, I don't make a living from this, right? I'm a retail worker. Like, that's what my normal 9 to 5 is. I go and I stock shelves and ring people out at retail. And so I'm not getting the perspective, let's say, of a Game Informer or of an IGN or of even some of the really big YouTubers that this is how they make their living. Like, you know, I could go down the list, the Kind of Funnies and all the other people. So I still consider, despite, you know, for some people being considered a pretty noteworthy news source in gaming, I don't consider myself media. You know, maybe that will change one day. I'll consider myself closer to that if I'm actually making a living off it. So keep in mind, whatever my take here is, you know, it's not that much better than probably anyone else in the chat could give. What I will say is it is hard to break through, right? You're asking, is there too much clutter in the breaking news space? It's tough, right? It's tough because gaming is one of those things that's so worldwide and so many people enjoy it, and so many people frankly want to work in the space, right? They want to work in games. There's so many people that are passionate about games. They want to cover it. They want to have a big website, or they want to have a huge YouTube. They want to, I mean, I'm one of them, right? My dream, I hope I can cover this industry for a living one day. And there's tons of people like me. So getting your voice out there and getting your voice more known than anyone else, you know, it's tough to do. All I can say from my own experience, like how I was able to somewhat break through, and keep in mind, I say this all the time. It's not like I'm famous, right? I'm not out here with, you know, 500,000 followers or anything like that, but I've kind of broken through to a degree. Here's the only advice I can give. First of all, I would say always be truthful and think out your takes, right? This might sound somewhat surprising because, especially if you look at YouTube, hot takes generate a lot of engagement, right? Hot takes generate tons of engagement. If you're always being negative and you're, you know, talking console wars and stuff, you can get a big boost off that. There's just no doubt, right? There's a lot of people that are into that. And I would say primarily that's the case on YouTube, honestly, more than anywhere. It seems like on YouTube particularly, negative stuff tends to rise to the top. But if you want to become like a credible source, somewhere that people feel truly engaged and they truly want to follow you, be truthful and think about what you say. And that might sound obvious, but a lot of people, particularly on Twitter, throw out a lot of hot takes, right? I feel like a lot of tweets I read, people didn't necessarily sit down and really think it through. So I would say, first of all, do that. Second of all, what makes your take unique, right? What makes your take different than, say, the millions of other people that are all trying to break through in gaming, right? There's so many people that want to talk about games. What makes your voice a little different? For me, it's that little bit of twist with sales, right? I like to, and it's not just sales. My name's Benji-Sales, but heck, most of my biggest tweets nowadays have nothing to do with sales. Literally, most of my biggest tweets, if you just go through my feed, it's just talking about games because that's what so many people do. But what helped me get there was that twist, right? Talked about sales, talked about data, social media metrics, and it's not something that a ton of people are talking about. So in your case with esports and the newsletter, what makes your voice different? Or if you're anyone else, if you're doing a review, what's that unique twist on reviews that you do that somebody else doesn't? That's a few things. Some people will tell you to reach out like crazy and network. Here's one thing that makes me different in that I don't at all. I'm the opposite of networking. I could probably be a lot bigger than I am if I networked. So it's probably good advice. I literally, since the day I started doing this, can literally tell you I have never DM'd anyone ever or commented on anyone ever asking to be on their podcast, asking to say, how can we work together? Saying, hey, here's what I do. Maybe you could have me as a guest. I've literally never done it. In fact, some of you have probably DM'd me. I'm horrible about DMs. I have a stack of literally thousands of unread DMs, and I feel so bad about it. Who knows? Honestly, some of these could be huge opportunities, and I don't even realize that. So check your DMs. Don't follow me, and also probably networking smart. But it's tough. Vince, it's smart. It's tough. I hope you break through. I hope your esports newsletter is giant. I hope you have huge success. Because I want success for everybody in this space. It's hard to break through. It's so freaking hard. Okay. Let me see. All right. I think we had another super chat I missed. I'm easy with a 10. What is up? I'm easy. Thank you so much. I'm afraid of the Battlefield state. Players dropping off and the new direction the Battlefield franchise is going. All the missing features the game is missing that we had in previous Battlefield games. I don't know, man. I'm easy. I'm going to be honest. I'm with you. You guys know, I say this all the time. I love to be positive. Like my feed on Twitter is like 99% positive. Every once in a while I'll have a negative take. Everyone does, right? Like I said, be truthful. I don't lie about liking something. So usually the case is if I don't like something, you won't see me tweeting about it. So if you want to know games that I don't like, typically those will be the ones you see 0 tweets from me from, because that's probably a pretty good sign I didn't like it. Because I'm not like a reviewer. If I didn't like a game and I reviewed games, I'd let you know. But in terms of playing games, it's more of like a hobby thing. But yeah, Battlefield's one that I'm a little more vocal about. Yeah, I don't like it. I do not like 2042. And that surprised me. I was 10 out of 10 hype for this game. I adored Battlefield 4 in particular. That particularly is the Battlefield that I love the most in terms of the online. Yeah, like I said, I'm easy. My main problems with the game, I think 128 players doesn't work. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think it works. Or if they want to make it work, I feel like the map design needs to be way better. Because the biggest problem in this game for me, it's not bugs. It's not that the game is rough to run. The maps. I think the maps suck, dude. They look cool. Like the actual visuals look cool. But, dude, the layout of the maps are so open. People are just randomly doing stuff. It's so spread out. I hate the maps in this game. Hate them. I'm not exaggerating when I say I think these are some of the worst maps I've ever played in a multiplayer game. And I feel bad saying that. And I think it's not like bad in terms of like, what were they even thinking? I think I get the concept. They were going for giant player counts, so they need giant maps. They need lots of room and space for this. But I just think the ambition got too far ahead of them. I actually think they need to pull back a little bit for Battlefield, the next one. Not go so crazy with the biggest maps possible and the most players possible. I just don't think it works. I think it kills the flow of the battles. So I'm with you. I'm easy. I hope they can turn it around. I'm always rooting for companies to succeed. I'm with you, though. Battlefield right now just feels in a dangerous spot. So I hope that they figure it out. And thank you for the super chat. I'm easy. Okay. Back to your free questions. Brian MX34. The Helldivers Twitter teased a sequel a few weeks back. Helldivers 2 was part of that NVIDIA leak. I'm guessing we see that at Game Awards. Yeah, Brian, that would make sense. As we've all kind of come to realize with time, that NVIDIA leak was 100% real. I mean, I knew it was real basically the day it happened. I even tweeted about it. I was like, someone's going to get in a lot of trouble. So, yeah, it's basically all real. Again, does that mean that every one of those games is going to come out on PC? And does that mean that every one of those games are going to come out for sure and not get canceled? No. But, like, essentially every game that's on that list existed in some capacity. We've now had that proven through multiple games that are announced that were on that chart. So, yeah. Helldivers 2, our new Helldivers game reveal makes sense. If it's on if it's on there, it's a pretty safe bet. Silence PP7, how good do you expect the Halo Infinite campaign to be? Since 343 evidently wants to support the game for years, do you think that's mostly for multiplayer, or could we see an Arbiter campaign? I am expecting, here's the thing. The previews, and I hope this holds up, the previews were glowing. Now, it's not uncommon for previews to mostly be positive, right? Because you're not doing a review. You're kind of just highlighting what's cool about this game, right? That's kind of like the main point of a preview, is to kind of just tell you, hey, what's cool about this? What's the game like? What's the concept? So having positive previews, not uncommon, right? It's usually in reviews where you see more harder critiques. The thing that made Halo Infinite's campaign previews so interesting is that the vast majority, where there are a few outliers, yes, but the vast majority weren't like, hey, this game's cool. You saw lots of people saying like, yo, this might be the best Halo campaign ever, right? Like, they were glowing previews, very glowing. I hope that holds up through the whole game. So that caught me off guard. I did not expect that. I thought, like I mentioned earlier, I thought media were going to be a lot more harsh on Halo. I still don't think we're looking at a 90-plus game. Still think we're looking at mid-80s, but I think the campaign's probably going to be pretty awesome. And my hunch, Silence, is that we get single-player expansions too. Yeah, I think so. It's called Infinite. I don't think that just means new multiplayer stuff. I expect this to be the only Halo this generation for the big FPS mainline Halos, right? I expect we're going to see some spin-off games. I expect we're going to see some side games. But for the big, huge, here is Halo for this generation, I think Infinite's literally it. I think we ride this whole gen out on Halo Infinite. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to go that long without some new single-player expansions in there and stuff, too. So I think the plan is to support it across the board. Some co-op stuff, some multiplayer stuff, some campaign stuff, all of it. Hence the name Infinite. Jose Contreras, thoughts on the Sony patent on the DualShock mobile controller? It's brilliant. Brilliant. Also, I'm a big fan of Sony mobile phones, and I believe they can make a successful 2D attempt at a mobile game device this time. Jose, it's smart, because like we're seeing with Microsoft and what Xbox is doing with streaming onto phones now, with xCloud, I've said this a bunch. I think that streaming is going to be a pretty big thing in the future. And that's actually what I expect if this thing's real and comes to market. That's what it's for. I expect it primarily to be focused on people that want to stream, through PS Now or whatever, PlayStation games on their phone. I think it's less for native apps, though who knows, Sony might start releasing more native app games on phones. But I think actually the main purpose here is to support streaming. So streaming is going to become a bigger deal. You have so many phones in so many people's hands. It's just it's a market you can't ignore when you're talking about expansion into the future. So again, do I expect most people to be streaming games on their phones in the next, 3 years? No, but I expect that to become a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger element of the industry. And Sony can't ignore that. So it's smart. It's smart. If I was them, I absolutely would do something like that. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I totally agree with this. Ashes to ashes with our earlier discussion. The problem with the Oscars isn't just the tie to cable networks anymore. It's also people seeing how fake it really is now. I agree. My hope is the Game Awards don't get too Oscarish. I agree. It does feel like a lot of just patting each other on the back and sniffing each other's farts. I know that's gross, but it is what it feels like. Like, awards are meant to celebrate you and to celebrate the industry. But yeah, I agree. Oscars does feel pretty fake. And the other problem with the Oscars is they just nominate a bunch of movies no one watches. I'm gonna be honest. That's a huge issue with the Oscars. If you want people to tune in, you need to be nominating stuff that people watch. Like, and again, does that mean that you should only nominate blockbusters? No, because that would also be a mistake, right? There is an integrity to the art. But the problem is, Oscars, let's be honest, 90% of the things that are nominated are things that almost no one, and when I say almost no one, I mean the larger audience, does not watch. If you really want to get viewership up, you need to start nominating things that people actually care about, right? Which is one advantage that the Game Awards has, is that we haven't gotten to that spot yet where the nominations are so niche that they're just nominating a bunch of games no one cares about, right? Like, it's a lot of big games. So that's another thing. Oscars, if they want to fix viewership, they need to start nominating movies that do well in the box office. How much Ford? Looking at the Game Awards presenter and live music performance announcement, there are lots of TV show movie related things. Will the Game Awards slowly become a general entertainment event instead of strictly games? Hamish, I don't think so. I think they will stick primarily to games. Here's the thing. As time goes on, more and more people are just gamers, right? That's kind of why you're starting to hear the term. Like, you see some people saying eventually the word gamer is just going to go away. Because it's so ubiquitous now that even giant Hollywood talent and stars are gamers, right? They play video games. Look at Henry Cavill. Dude's a giant megastar, and he's probably nerdier than I am. And that's saying something. I'm a nerd, and he's, and I don't say nerd in a bad way. I think being nerdy is awesome. Look at me. I talk about video games all day. But like, you're talking, he's deep on, actually playing tabletop and all kinds of cool stuff. So we're getting to that point now where the generation that's, coming in right now, we all grew up on this stuff. And Jeff Keighley wants to get as many eyeballs on the thing as he possibly can. So pulling in that big Hollywood talent that's on TV shows and big musicians and stuff, A, they play games, so it works. And then B, you get the viewership. So I get why he does it. My hope, my dream is that one day the actual actors in this space and developers in this space get the kind of notoriety that you see out of Hollywood, right? Where the directors like, Spielberg and Christopher Nolan and all these are seen as legends. We have a few of those in the industry. We have our Kojimas. We have our Cory Barlogs. We've got our Ken Levines, in my opinion. We have our legendary ones, but it's just not quite to the same level as like the way Hollywood acts about people. So I hope eventually our voice actors and our game directors and all that and the developers get that sort of level of recognition as well. And I think it will eventually. Like I said, we'll get there. Dreamwalker, players voice category of Game Awards is live. I'm voting for Returnal. Heck yeah, Dreamwalker. Great choice. Great choice. Yeah, I've said it. Returnal and Forza Horizon 5 are literally my two favorite games this year. I think Halo Infinite could potentially slip in there too. I love the multiplayer when you see how the campaign is. But right now, Returnal and Forza Horizon 5, those are my two favorites. Dreamwalker, Returnal is a great choice. Great choice. That game rules. Returnal was so good. It's weird. I think this is the first year I can think of ever in the Game Awards where, it's all personal, but like literally where my two favorite, not just one, two, my top two games, neither got nominated for Game of the Year. Crazy. Neither one. Neither Returnal or Forza. So yes, good choice, Dreamwalker. Great choice. I'd love to see either Returnal or Forza win that. Danger Man, problem is that I feel Vince Zampella is going to double down with "Hey, you don't like this, here's more of it." Ooh, interesting. I have a bad feeling about it. So I'm a big fan of Vince. I feel like he's a shrewd man and he is a great leader from all accounts. It's going to be real interesting to see where Battlefield goes. I definitely think they're going to make a Battle Royale. Like, I 100% think that. 1,000%. I think you're going to get a Battlefield Battle Royale sooner than later. Sooner than later. Jordy, Xbox Era with a you, Benji, with a green heart. Thank you so much, Jordy. Shout out to Xbox Era. Y'all are doing some awesome stuff. I saw that that book, right? You guys are doing a book on the history of Xbox. That's awesome. I need to back that. I haven't Jordy yet. If it's still live, I need to back that when I get off of this chat. Because shout out to Xbox here. You guys are doing awesome stuff. All right, we've been going for over an hour, so I got to be a little more picky. Off topic, but I got my booster shot yesterday, and y'all, I don't want to cross my fingers, but I think I got lucky. I have had literally zero side effects other than my arm feels like it got straight hit with a baseball bat. But that was at 1 o'clock yesterday. It's been over 24 hours. Fingers crossed. At least for me so far, booster, besides feeling like my arm was hit by a baseball bat, I have avoided any other side effects. So hopefully that holds up. All right, here we go. Ashes to Ashes. I tried Battlefield 2042 again last night after the most recent patch and actually enjoyed it much more. Specifically the Hazard Zone extraction mode. That's good to hear. I'm glad. Crave Snow, I wonder what the player drop-off of Forza is. I'm already kind of bored of it after playing nonstop for the first 2 weeks. It makes sense. It's definitely dropped off. Like I said, almost no game holds its player numbers, which is why you see me very little. It's very rare. In fact, I don't even know if you'll find a tweet from me. I'm sure there is one out there that exists. You never see me tweet, hey, this game lost this much players in this time frame. It's an almost, I don't want to say universally, an almost useless metric because nearly zero games hold players. Like zero. Like realistically, how many concurrent players do you think right now on, and we're going to use a huge game, Spider-Man. How many concurrent players do you think Spider-Man has on PlayStation right now? It ain't high. Like, that game is a massive success. Again, this isn't downplaying Spider-Man. It's just very few games hold their players past their launch. There's a reason why launch is always so important, because that is when you get the bulk of your players early on. So Forza definitely dropping. I think it's still definitely successful, though. I just looked at the US most played. Let's check this out. So it's going to go down over time, but check this out. Right now, most played games on Xbox in the US, Forza Horizon 5 is number 4. Number 4, the only games Forza Horizon 5 is behind, Grand Theft Auto 5, Halo Infinite, Call of Duty Warzone, and Fortnite. It's ahead of Apex Legends, it's ahead of Roblox, ahead of Vanguard, and ahead of Cold War. So, like, dude, it's still getting a lot of players, but it ain't going to keep, you know, the same level of players. Very rare when a game does that. Very rare. Sadie, if Battlefield went free to play, it would have a massive player count. I agree. Way higher than it is. Totally. Like we were talking earlier about how it's going to get harder and harder to pull people over, I feel like, to multiplayer games. To kind of piggyback off that with what you're saying here, I mean, free to play might be the only option, right? Might be the only option. When you have so many big competitors in the free-to-play space, hard to have a $60 game. Could be true. I'm very curious to see what The Last of Us Factions is. I'm of the belief that that game should be free-to-play. But to keep in mind, I don't know the scope or how the game works. But if Sony wanted to be super successful, I think it should be free-to-play. Forzathon is back makes a great point. How can you vote for Halo Infinite in the player's voice thing when it hasn't even released? I'm guessing their thought processes is like if you're enjoying the multiplayer so much you could vote for it, but I agree. I put it this way. I love Halo Infinite multiplayer. I would not vote for that until the whole game's out. Right now, my vote would either go to Forza or Returnal. For player's voice, 100%. I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes, and then we're going to call it a chat. So I got to be kind of picky. Harmlessly Ford, Kojima Xbox game. Here's my question. Is that still happening? So I told y'all that I independently heard that. Anyone that's around, like follows me, I told you this in a very long ago chat that I had heard that before Grubb even ran that story. In fact, if you ask Grubb, he could tell you that I independently confirmed that with him, that I had heard that before he even ran that story. So that was getting around. Like, that was not a random rumor that Kojima was making an Xbox game. Like I said, Grubb himself can tell you, I independently confirmed that with him, that I had heard it prior even to his report going live. So, but we've heard nothing since. So I wonder if that game's still happening. Put it this way, there is literally not a doubt in my mind that those conversations happened. But still have nothing. I mean, it doesn't mean anything because the word is that those were very early conversations. So it absolutely could still be coming. But I'm very curious. I'm curious if that's still still a thing. Again, definitely think that conversation happened. I just wonder if it will. Danger Man, I absolutely want to see Avowed as well. Avowed would be amazing. Not impossible considering that Jez said that he has seen quite a bit of the game. So that means it's pretty far along. Avowed, I'm less sure of, but it's possible. Like I said, I'm 99% sure Hellblade's going to be here. If Hellblade 2 is a no-show, I'll be shocked. I really think Hellblade 2 is going to be here. I really, really think Hellblade is. So if Microsoft does two things, my guess, that's why I'm thinking maybe we won't see Avowed, is that Hellblade 2 will probably get the gameplay blowout. And if Microsoft shows a second thing, maybe it's just a teaser reveal, right? Kind of like the way the original Hellblade trailer was. If they do a blowout trailer of both Avowed and Hellblade, though, that would be literal hype. I think we had a super chat come in. We did. Okay. Benji here with a 5. Did you see the last factor on the relevance of NPD? I did not. He said gaming analysts today are mostly terrible because digital is higher. Thoughts? Yeah, Benji. As more info comes out and you see more people talk about this, what's it doing? It's lining up with the stuff that I say, okay? Again, I say all the time, I do not consider myself the best analyst. In fact, if you noticed, I even took analysts, I used to go by independent video game industry analyst on Twitter and YouTube. I took that off a long time ago. It's been months and months now. Now I just say I cover the video game industry with a focus on sales, data, business, social media metrics, and more. Whole reason I put analysts on there in the first place was because there was a period of time it literally looked like that's where I was going. I don't want to talk too much about this, but I had companies asking me to independently consult for them, literally, hey, let me pay you and come consult for my firm. And I also had some video game publishers and developers reaching out to me, kind of inquiring about working for them as an analyst. So that's really why I did that at first, because I was I think I'm going to be an analyst in the next year. I really thought that was going to happen. Didn't pan out for various reasons. And now I'm at the point I don't actually ever think I'll make a living being an analyst. So I took that out. But yeah, analysis is very hard to do when you just look at physical charts. Now, NPD does have a ton of digital, but it is again missing big digital players like Nintendo. So, like I said, physical only charts to me have become virtually useless. Virtually useless. I still read them every single week. I still, if something crazy happens, will tweet about it. But you really don't see me tweet that stuff much anymore. I used to. I used to be oh, here's the UK chart, what happened this week? Or here's the Japan chart, what happened this week? Or here's a random market. Nowadays, consoles I'll talk about because there's no digital in terms of console sales, right? It's just units. So I'll tweet about how a platform's doing in a market. And I'll also will still tweet about total player numbers because it's a global player number. Or if global shipments or global sell-through or whatever, that kind of stuff when they come directly from the publisher. But yeah, dude, in terms of there was a time, you go back, let's say 10 years ago, If you read the UK chart, if you read the Japanese chart, if you read the NPD chart, the leaked numbers, like, you had a dang good idea how stuff was doing. Nowadays, dude, digital is such a giant chunk of this industry. And Benji, to go even on top of that, subscription spend and free to play spend is becoming such a massive part of this industry that, like, my name on Twitter is Benji-Sales. And it's like, sales isn't even the only thing anymore, right? It's not even just about how much you sell nowadays. It's about how many subscribers you get and, like, how much the microtransactions are doing for your free-to-play games. And, like, it's crazy. Being a true analyst, very hard nowadays. Very hard. Unless you get mountains of proprietary data, NDA stuff, which the top dudes do, right? Someone like a Michael Pachter, somebody like a Daniel Ahmed, like, these types of people, they're someone like a Matt Piscatella. These guys are going to have access to mountains of NDA material that allows them to do their job. But like us hobby analysts or people on the outside, dude, you literally can't put anything together from physical charts anymore. It's almost useless, virtually useless. Still interesting data, still very interesting. I read them every week. But dude, no one has a firm grasp of how a game's performing just looking at physical sales anymore. That ship has long sailed. Even Nintendo, who was the last bastion of physical sales, even Nintendo is starting that shift. Even Nintendo games are starting to see some big digital shares. Metroid Dread had a huge digital share. Huge digital share. We got that via NPD. Huge digital share. So yeah, it's all shifting. All shifting. Okay. Lots of great comments. I'm just trying to fly through before we bounce. Yeah, Highlander, in regards to Starfield, I'm assuming saying Todd Howard has said they will not show anything till E3. Yeah, I believe it. Don't expect Starfield. Starfield's not going to be here. They'll show Starfield next E3. Remember, Bethesda likes to keep their actual reveal of gameplay in a very short window. They didn't show Fallout 4 until like 6 months before the game launched. Might have even been less than that. It was somewhere around there. It was like 6 months. No one saw anything about Fallout 4 gameplay until like 6 months before the game was here. So you're seeing some people kind of freak out. We haven't seen Starfield in game, but this is normal for Bethesda. Pretty normal. Pretty normal. At least recently. So they'll show a ton at E3. Ton at E3. And then Hammersley Ford says, I think people will stop asking for the Elder Scrolls 6 and hype Starfield next year because it'll look awesome. For sure. For sure. Starfield will get the bulk of focus next year. It's the biggest Xbox game next year. No doubt. No doubt. Abdul here with a very nice comment. Abdul Al-Safari, or Al-Safri. I hope I'm saying that right, Abdul. I'm sorry. Can we hit that like for Ben? It's free. I do appreciate the likes. I don't spam them out. I don't try and pressure people like my videos, but I appreciate the likes. It does help the YouTube algorithm. And thank you for the kind words. Samuel's in the chat. What is up, Samuel Tolbert? What is up, my man? Trey Center says, this is also my first live, Benji, and I'm enjoying it. Awesome. Great. I always love to see new people in the live chat. We have a ton of names that are super recognizable that are here like every week. Love seeing new faces too, though. Do you think CD Projekt Red can redeem themselves and Cyberpunk 2077 get better? You know, I used to be more negative on this. In fact, I've even said on this chat, and this might have been a mistake on my part, right? Sometimes you got to own up to your mistakes. I said on this chat that I felt that the Cyberpunk 2077 ship had kind of sailed, right? I had said, you know, fix the game, get the bugs fixed or whatever, and then probably quickly move on to another project. And I may have been wrong. I may have been wrong. Now, keep in mind, I've still never even played 1 second of Cyberpunk, and I've owned it since the day it came out. I literally have it sitting on the shelf next to me sealed, and I've owned that since the day it came out. Because I've been waiting until the true next-gen patch comes out for like over a year. Here's the thing. The game doing pretty dang well on PC lately, by the way, with a sale price. Can Cyberpunk 2077 ever become the game that was promised, right? The mind-blowing, we've never seen anything like this before title that was hyped up as. That particular ship is probably gone. Can they turn around, though, the view that this is a good game? Just good, right? Not the most mind-blowing thing you've ever played, but a good game. It may be possible. Now, will that ever make up for that launch? No. They were still completely in the wrong to rush this game out and launch it in the state it was, right? Like, no matter how polished or better the game gets, never excuses what happened at launch. But if these next-gen patches are really, really solid, they said that there are expansions coming. If the expansions are, like, really good, can it get to the point where people are like, you know what? Cyberpunk 2077 was a straight-up disaster at launch, but years later, it's a pretty good game. That may be possible. Remains to be seen, but it may be possible. Mr. J, any idea how many players, actual numbers, are playing Infinite on Xbox consoles? No, Jay. Millions? Many, many millions? It did do, now this week it wasn't, but last week it was higher than freaking Warzone and Fortnite in the US. So that's some giant player numbers. Millions, but a strict idea, there's no way to know. There's literally no way to know. Here's what I'll say. I think Microsoft, the main reason you haven't got numbers, they want to wait for campaign. I think you're going to get a Halo Infinite player number right at the end of the year. I think right at the end of the year, after campaign's been out for a while, after people have played more multiplayer, I think that's when you'll get a number. But the exact number, there's no way to know. No way to know. Joseki says, I'm asking because you said you had Xeno 1 and 2. I do have them both, but wanted to wait for Switch Pro. Yep, which ain't happening, but I got the OLED. And 13 Sentinels is goated. I've heard it. I've heard it's amazing, but very niche. Now getting a Switch port too. I stand Japanese games. I love Japanese games too, Joseki. Love them. Now, is it like the main games that I play? I'd say no, but I play a ton of Japanese games, right? Like Tales of Arise, one of my favorite games this year. Loved Tales of Arise. So, yeah, and everyone knows I love Final Fantasy, and I love a lot of the Kojima games and Capcom games. You know, I love Japanese games too, for sure. There's just something about Japanese games that feels so different than the West, right? No matter the genre, no matter the characters, no matter the writing, like just Japanese games just have a very different feel than the West. Makes them unique. Yeah, Ashes to Ashes. Xbox most of this year has been constant in the news. Exactly. It's why my coverage of them is so heavy. Very deliberate drip type campaign to keep it on everyone's minds. 100% correct. It seems to be working on the perception front. 100%. I won't go too into detail on this, but I know and interact with a lot of people in Xbox marketing side, and their marketing's been great this last year. Great. They have different strategies. Xbox's strategy seems to be a constant, like every couple weeks there's Xbox news. Sony seems to be big drops. Like we're going to go silent for 4 or 5 months, potentially long periods of time. Then we're going to drop some freaking big stuff, right? Like whenever they showed Spider-Man 2 and they showed Wolverine on the same show, like that seems to be the difference. Microsoft's like, let's spread these announcements out. Let's just constantly be hitting you with something. Sony's like, big news drop, wait 4 months. Big news drop, so it's just different strategies. But the difference is it does allow Microsoft to be in the headlines more. We can debate which strategy is better, but it does allow them to just constantly be in the cycle. Constantly. Oh, great question. Ryan Thompson, are you going to do a live stream on the Game Awards? I am. I'm going to live react. So I will be doing a live stream reaction on this channel for the Game Awards. So if you want to watch with me, I'll be here live next Thursday night. We're going to be doing the co-stream. We're going to be rocking. We're going to be watching the Game Awards. Come into the stream and watch and react with me together if you want. Otherwise, of course, the VOD will be up afterwards. So you can always come back and watch my reactions later on. But yes, Ryan, yes, I will be doing the Game Awards. Yep. Oh, Blanco says, Blanco718. Supposedly we're getting the first trailer for the Last of Us TV show at the Game Awards. That'd be hype. I'm very excited for that. Yeah, Joseki, PlayStation is weird. They announce games years in advance and then radio silence for months. I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of their strategy, but I think that will change in the future. Joseki, my guess, I said this earlier, I think COVID really impacted PlayStation's first party teams. It impacted everybody, but like all the delays we saw, I have to think this changes next year. But I'm not a big fan of it. As somebody that tries to cover the gaming industry, I don't like how long Sony goes quiet. I agree. Especially in today's age where so many people are connected online and they want a constant drip feed of information. I don't think we're in the day and age where it's smart marketing wise. They're still selling tons of consoles and games. So this isn't like it's going to doom PlayStation. We're just literally talking about marketing. Nowadays, I think you need to be more consistent. I don't think you can go the 4, 5, 6 months without talking. Don't think it works. But I expect it to pick up next year. All right. Okay. We've been going a long time. Dude, there's still so many freaking questions. Okay. I'm going to go for like 10 more minutes and then we're out. Tons of questions. Tons of questions. Oh, I just caught something from Yasad. Bays, don't hate Benji. This is a beta. Jeesh. Yasad, if there's any person on the planet you can probably not accuse of being a hater, it's going to be me. A lot of things you can critique me for sure. But being a hater, I think would be almost like a 0% success on telling me that. Because, like, I'm not a hater. In fact, I have probably one of the most positive news feeds on Twitter. I go out of my way to make it positive. So, dude, me saying that isn't being a hater. It's just giving advice. Listen, I talk to a lot of these people. A lot of them. Just giving advice. In terms of Halo, they need more playlists, which hopefully that will come. Okay, few more questions, and then we got to go. Like 10 minutes and I'm out. Dreamwalker saying, Benji, what game do you hope and expect will win? Oh, will win at the Game Awards Player's Voice? I think Returnal's going to win. Dreamwalker, I think Returnal wins. And in terms of who I hope, like I mentioned earlier, Dreamwalker, either one, Returnal or Forza. I want to see one of those two games win it. Just because they're my two favorite games this year. But if I had to predict which one wins, I predict Returnal. But either one. I'd be happy with Forza or Returnal to win it. Either one of those games. Shape D Papa, it's still impressive to me that Halo can have these kinds of numbers without a BR mode. For sure, and I think one's coming. 1,000%. There will be a Halo Battle Royale, I guarantee you. I won't even be surprised if it's next year. Late next year. But I will not be surprised if holiday 2022, you see Halo Infinite Battle Royale. Would not shock me at all. And if it's not next year, it's coming. It is coming. Guaranteed it. Yeah, most people are agreeing with me with the Halo Infinite playlists. Yeah. And Yasad, I wasn't trying to be rude when I was saying, like, it's hard to, like, accuse me of being a hater. I hope you understand that. Like, I wasn't trying to be rude to you. I'm just saying, like, I have some people be mean to me about some stuff, but hater is one that I almost never hear because I don't hate on stuff. It's just critiques. There's a difference between, like, a healthy critique and being a hater. Carlos, you think we will see anything about Blizzard at the Game Awards? I don't think so, and I think it'd be a mistake. They need to just keep their heads down until stuff's ready to go. Like, stuff at Activision and all of that has been so freaking toxic and just, like, terrible. Blizzard needs to just have their heads down, and they need to talk and show nothing until Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 are, like, ready to go. Like, or very far along. Whatever Blizzard shows next, it needs to be substantial. It can't be like, oh, here's a new little teaser. Like, Dude, things are so bad over there. I mean, did you see even more people are leaving? Like, no. Blizzard, keep your head down, stay quiet, and then when you have something truly awesome and huge to show, then show it. But right now, it's just not the time. Not the time. I don't think, at least. Except for maybe a WoW expansion. Yeah, Carlos, you have a great point here because WoW needs to constantly be fed. WoW expansion, maybe. Maybe a WoW expansion. But outside of that, like in terms of like showing more Diablo and more Overwatch, I would say no until those games are like you have something huge to show. Yeah, I'm seeing some people agree with me that they like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl more than Sword and Shield. Yeah, it is. It's a better game in my opinion. I definitely think it's better than Sword and Shield. Definitely. Brad Myers, what do you think we will see or hope to see from Nintendo at the Game Awards? I think Nintendo will show off Breath of the Wild 2, Pokemon Arceus, as well as something else. I definitely think that Nintendo will show something big. I would love to see Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4. Those two are the ones I hope the most, or Xenoblade 3. And yes, I know, I just admitted here, I haven't, well, I started Xenoblade Definitive Edition, never finished it, need to get back to it, never played Xenoblade 2. And, but Xenoblade 3 I just know would be a huge announcement, and I know how hyped that fan base would be. So one of those three. One of those three would be my dream. Either Xenoblade 3, Breath of the Wild 2, or Metroid Prime 4. RRD saying keep up the great work. Thank you so much, RRD. RRD. Benji's goal is to be a meme saying he's acquired by Microsoft. RRD. I wonder if I'm allowed to say that. Like it almost happened. I probably should have said that on stream. I mean, it almost happened, yeah. Didn't work out. Maybe in the future, you never know. Never know. But there almost was the Benji's been acquired by Microsoft thing. Yeah, it could have happened. Like I said, I don't talk about it here, y'all. I almost worked for like several huge companies. I dropped the ball on some of them, though. Hitaki Kakashi. In E3, there was a rumor about Resident Evil Revelations 3 in Capcom Showcase. Yeah, this is weird, but it did not happen. Do you think we will hear anything about it in the Game Awards? So there is a rumored, and this came from like, I think the Capcom leaks, that there is a Switch exclusive Resident Evil in development that essentially was like Revelations 3, but they might have been calling it something else. And we still never saw this game. My only hunch is that it's still in development. It seems pretty clear it was definitely in development, but that it got delayed from COVID. So if it's still going to be a thing, Hitaki, we should see it very soon. We should see it very soon. Even if it got delayed, it should be very, very soon. Because I believe it was originally supposed to come out this year. So maybe it got pushed, like, delayed deep into 2022. So that's why they didn't announce it. But if it's still a thing, we should hear that very soon. Game Awards is possible, yeah, if it's still going to be a thing. Lots of just nice comments. Benji, keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Okay, like 2 more questions and we're out. 2 more questions and we're out. Daniel Parsa, I think Psychonauts 2 deserves the Game of the Year more than any other title. Do you agree? It's not my personal Game of the Year, but out of the games that are nominated, yes, that is the game I'm voting for. Yep. Psychonauts 2 is my vote for the Game Awards Game of the Year out of the ones that are on there. Yep, for sure. For sure. That's the one I'm voting for. Again, it's not my Game of the Year. It is definitely in my top 10, but my 2 favorite games aren't nominated. So... Psychonauts 2, yeah, is the best one out of that list that I played, for sure. Yeah, this is real. Highlander, Henry Cavill missed a phone call saying he was going to be Superman and he was busy in a raid in World of Warcraft. Exactly. I love it. I love it. Like I said, Henry Cavill might be a bigger nerd than me. And I'm not saying nerd in a derogatory stance. I love it. I think it's so cool. But as shocking as it is, as good looking, as jacked and as famous as that man is, he may be a bigger nerd than I am. Okay. Telegram here with a 20. Oh, wow. Everyone's reacting to the tea I spilled. Yeah, I know. I don't normally talk about it, but I've been approached by multiple companies. Most of them didn't work out because of my own mental health, honestly. It doesn't even have anything to do with, like, if I could do jobs. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Nothing, because I don't want to burn any bridges, particularly that one. I mean, hey, if any people are watching this, you know, and you talked to me in the past, maybe come back around. But, yeah, my mental health screwed me on several potential job opportunities, y'all. I'm going to say this right now. Don't let, really quick before I get to Telegram Super Chat, if you ever have a really amazing opportunity in life, if you're someone that is as depressed as I am, like 10 out of 10 depressed every single day of my life, unreal depressed, hate myself kind of person, if you are anything like that, don't let that get in the way of an opportunity, y'all. Don't let it get in the way, because it's happened to me. So don't do it. Okay, Telegram with a 20 super chat right here at the end. We're about to wrap up. I'm going to do one more free question after this super chat. Telegram, though, dropping a huge 20 right at the end. Sup, Benji, late to the chat, but I was wondering, when do you think we might see any footage, from the Knights of the Old Republic remake? I don't know the specifics of sales numbers from the OG, but should be cool to see. Yeah, cannot wait for Knights of the Old Republic remake. Should be freaking hype. When do I think we're going to see footage? They just announced it, and they did it with just CG. So, Telegram, my prediction is next year. I don't think we see anything at the Game Awards, and I also don't think it's further out than that in terms of when we see it. So, probably, this game is a PlayStation exclusive on console. It is going to be on PC, I think, as well. I think it's PC and PlayStation. So I would say probably we see gameplay of this game. Sony should have marketing rights because, you know, it's a console exclusive. So probably whenever that big showcase is for Sony next E3 time, right? Whether that's in the summer or they push it a little bit later like they did this last time, like into September. It'll be at a Sony event, though. I don't think that they would do console exclusive on that and then not market the heck out of it. Like, I think that's the same reason we won't see probably Final Fantasy 16 at the Game Awards, because I think Sony's going to want that at their own show. So that would be my prediction, Telegram. Whenever that next summer-ish time frame PlayStation showcases, that's when we should see it. Should be hyped. The first game sold well, but it wasn't like kind of some of the sales that we see from games nowadays where they sell ridiculous numbers. But I think the remake, if it's good, is going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge. Oh, RRD said I missed a super chat. Oh, shoot. Oh, yo. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never want to see us miss a super chat. Thank you, RRD. Thank you. With a 2 here. I'm not going to count this one as the last free question. The Halo Carry On ad plus new trailer were fire. I agree. I always love Halo marketing. You saw Aaron Greenberg reply to one of my tweets about it, which was really nice. Aaron's a really nice guy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Incredibly kind. I know that when things get into the console wars, it can get pretty heated, but I'm telling you guys that Aaron is a very nice person. He truly is. Aaron's a nice guy. And, he was saying thanks, and he was saying that the team was working, like, so hard on that live action stuff. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Halo always has special marketing, right? I still think Halo 3 and even Reach, I think those had the best. But Infinite's picking up. It's picking up. It's definitely picking up. Halo marketing is always pretty special. Okay. I literally can only do one more free question. I wish I could go longer. All right, one more. Crap, there's so many that I literally cannot get to them. Oh. Creative Monster, I'm not going to count this as a question. Forbes should hire you. I have a good relationship with Paul Tassi, who works at Forbes. I think we have a great relationship. He retweeted like one of the nicest things everyone's ever done for me, Paul. So shout out to Paul. He retweeted me like not even that long ago, a couple weeks ago, and he said like, Benji's the best account you can follow for games. I was like, holy crap, dude. Working for Forbes would be cool. A lot of this kind of stuff would be cool, but I don't know. And you're saying, why might I never become an analyst? I don't have much faith in myself. And that's what keeps getting in my way. I have no belief in myself. I wish I believed in myself like 5% as much as you guys believe in me, because I don't believe in myself at all. I have zero self-belief in myself. Like, I just always think I'm destined to fail. Like, always. Okay. One question, and I gotta go. One question. Tons of amazing comments. Tons of amazing people in chat. Thank you for a great turnout. It was way better than I thought early on. I thought it was going to be literally like a 30-minute chat because there was 8 people here like for the first like couple minutes. So I really thought it was going to be small. One question. Did I hit most of the main questions? Lots of comments. Yeah, Dreamwalker makes a great point here. Aside from digital sales, there's Game Pass numbers that nobody has any idea about. Yeah, I know. Seriously, true, Dreamwalker. Apparently nobody knows that subscriber number, really. All right. Okay, I mean, I think I'm pretty much good. Tons of nice comments. I'm not seeing too many questions I missed, so we might be able to just call it there. Deadly 8, I am late. Don't you think Guardians got snubbed at the Game Awards? The biggest snub to me for Guardians isn't necessarily Game of the Year, though I would have loved to see it get nominated, but it was hard, right? You can only nominate so many games. I think the one snub for Guardians was in the acting categories. Like, some of the acting is so good. I'm telling y'all, the acting in that game is so good. Star-Lord, I think. The guy who does Star-Lord does an amazing job. Gamora does a great job. Drax does a great job. I mean, they kind of all do. I will say I'm very glad that it got nominated for Best Narrative. I actually hope it wins that category. I'm going to nominate it. I truly think, you know, regardless of if you like the game or if you like superhero comic book settings or anything at all, I mean this. I truly think that Guardians probably had the best writing this year. Like, the writing in Guardians of the Galaxy is so good. I don't know if I've ever played a game that genuinely made me laugh. Like, literally laughing. Not just in my head, like, oh, that was funny, but like laughing as much as Guardians. And it's got some great heartfelt moments. So, you know, Game of the Year, it's hard to say a snub just because you can only nominate so many games. I think they should have got an acting nom. And I'm very glad it got nominated for Best Narrative. Hope it wins that. Okay, everyone, I got to go. It's been an awesome chat. Benji here with an MMA question right at the end. Poirier or Oliveira? I'm going Poirier. Poirier is going to win that fight, I think. Oliveira's a beast, but I'm picking Poirier. Okay, thanks for a great chat. Hit the like button if you like doing these chats. Thanks for all the super chats. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Follow me on Twitter if somehow you're not following me on Twitter already. Odds are if you hear, you follow me there. Thank you for a great stream, everyone. Next week, we're 1,000% going to have a live chat. Again, we only didn't last week because it was Black Friday, Thanksgiving week. We will be back next week, though. So I'll see you all soon. All right, peace. Have a great day. Have an amazing day. You're all incredible. Thank you for your support, and I will see you all soon. Bye. Oh, JCat was here. What up, JCat? Later, JCat. Thank you for making the chat. Peace, JCat. Peace and love. Later, y'all. Bye, 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 bye.